I've got news for you.
We're the two teachers. Welcome to CitizenView,
where citizens come to talk.
Andy, we're here to talk the latest news. No shortage of media frenzy on a lot of topics, but we're talking about the national political conventions.
For a lot of our students and for a lot of you out there, this might be the very first time that you've paid attention to political conventions. They've been around for centuries in American politics, and we're really debating what their relevance is these days.
These party conventions have an important outcome, nominating their candidate. Republicans would be nominating their presidential candidate coming up. Then in a week, the Democrats will be nominating their presidential candidate. But they're also for approving that party platform. Andy, platform?
That's right. The platforms are the issue stances that each party has, maybe on taxation policy, education policy, environmental policy. Every 4 years, the parties decide how they're going to stand on those issues.
But let's be honest. We already know who the candidates are, and those candidates are not going to be beholden to the political party platform. Andy, these conventions have taken on new meaning and new relevance. The question is, what is it?
Conventions used to be the ultimate way to pick presidential candidates, and it used to be considered very democratic because relatively a lot of people would come to the convention sites and pick that party's nominee. But as we developed primary elections over the course of the 70s and 80s, conventions became more of a rubber stamp. They weren't dramatic anymore. There weren't fights there. I mean, sometimes physical fights, as we saw in Chicago in 1968. But conventions became a place where we knew who the nominee was going to be, and they really took on this element of being a pep rally.
No big surprises. Romney will be the Republican candidate, and last I checked, Obama will be the Democratic candidate. But for most of America, they may not even know who Romney is. In fact, the latest poll suggests that 25% of Americans have never even really heard of Mitt Romney. The convention coming up in Tampa with the Republicans, they're there to brand Romney, to try to give him a face to the American people so people associate with Romney a reason to vote.
It's a way to get Romney or Obama's face out to the people who know them, but also to drum up enthusiasm with the base voters, those diehard Republicans or those diehard Democrats. Each party, each candidate really needs their base to come out in what should be a very close election, and the convention is a way to rally that support.
Well, they're not only going to arouse their base, because the convention is televised live, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox. I mean, it'll be on 8 or 9 channels, 24/7 it'll feel like, but the evenings of Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, they're hoping maybe some of those independent voters will drag their viewing eyes into those conventions and say, hey, what's this? Who's that? Oh, I agree with that. So the conventions will try to script a narrative that not only will arouse the base, Andy, but will also perhaps welcome in some new voters, because both parties realize the base alone is not enough. They're going to need some of those independent voters.
It's sounding like the Olympics. You're kind of making it sound like the Olympics. And like the Olympics, this is going to have a lot of gold and silver in that these conventions are also a place to raise a lot of money.
Yep.
You and I have been to a number of these conventions, and you can smell the money coming out of the skyboxes, where the big donors come into the conventions. They're entertained because both parties know they need those deep pockets from the fat cats to sustain this incredible spending we have on campaigns.
Both candidates have suggested it may cost upwards to $1 billion to win the presidential elections in November. Andy, branding a candidate, arousing the base, you're absolutely right. Not enough.
Key function.
They need to raise the money to attract those deep pocket donors who will say, hey, I like this brand. I'm ready to vote for my candidate. Here's some money.
But you and I have also witnessed firsthand one of the most exciting parts of conventions these days as a time to usher out the new blood of each party. In 2004, we were there on the floor at the Fleet Center in Boston when a young nobody from Illinois named Barack Obama gave the keynote speech to the Democratic Convention and had the place energized and mesmerized. And even as a not yet elected senator, people were already buzzing about Barack Obama being a possible presidential candidate. The same might be true this year for a guy like Paul Ryan in the Republican Party.
Keep an eye out for those keynote speakers,
Right.
because they are the up-and-coming members of that respective political party. Andy, everyone will be buzzing about the political conventions coming up in the next week. Republicans are in Tampa. The Democrats will be in Charlotte the following week. We all know what their purpose originally was, selecting a candidate, approving the platform. But remember, these conventions are really about branding the candidate, raising money, and arousing that base. You've been listening to CitizenView.
We're the two teachers.
No fancy words,
No fancy suits.
plain talk about issues you need to know.
Just in time.